Hello, my name is Jnagal, and this is the title of my research project called Winners and Wasted Talent. In this research project, I'll explore the careers of professional athletes who either became unexpected stars or failed to meet expectations. Over the next slides, I'll examine patterns in their careers, the psychological and systemic factors at play, and what we can learn from their experiences. So this image here was kind of an inspiration for this project. The player on the left, Vinod Kambli, and the player on the right is Sachin Tendulkar. And this shows even Project's talent can be derailed by mental and situational factors. Vinod Kambli, who was once considered a prodigy alongside Sachin, struggled under the weight of expectations, injuries, and off-field pressures, while Sachin thrived. This image illustrates this image and example illustrates that early promise doesn't always translate to sustained success, and it emphasizes the importance of psychological resilience and opportunity. Lessons I will apply to analyzing modern professional athletes. What is my research about? The goal of my research is to uncover patterns on why some athletes become busts while others often rise to stardom. I'm analyzing professional athletes to see how mental toughness, team fit, and work ethic and opportunity shape careers. By comparing those who fail with those who succeed, I aim to understand what separates long-term success from early failure. I focused on two main groups: highly touted athletes who failed to meet expectations, and overlooked players who became elite. This allows for a clear comparison of systemic, psychological, and situational factors. Studying both groups helps identify recurring themes and lessons about development, adaptation, and opportunity in professional sports. And and just before we move on to the players, I have divided each reason for why busts occur into primary four subtopics. First one, pressure; second, adaptation; third, unrealistic expectations; and fourth, too big to fail. And we will get into the players now. So the case studies for the players that I will be focusing on are Anthony Bennett, Kwame Brown, Jamarcus Russell, Trent Richardson, Alexis Sanchez, and Philippe Coutinho. And as you can see, for Jamarcus Russell, I put too much easy money. We'll get to that when we get to him. And same thing applies to Alexis Sanchez and for Philippe Coutinho. Anthony Bennett. Anthony Bennett, who was the first overall pick in the NBA draft in 2013, struggled to adapt to the NBA's pace and style. Despite his physical tools that he developed at UNLV, he couldn't develop his game for the professional level. Bennett's experience illustrates that raw talent isn't enough, and adaptability and a fit with the team system are critical for success. As we can see here, his rookie year averages were 4.2 points and 3 rebounds per game. Even though it was only his rookie season, he was never really able to adapt after that, as he bounced around the whole league essentially. And then before he knew it, he retired around the late 2010s, spanning into the early 2020s decade, I believe. And in college, he averaged 16 points and 8 rebounds per game. This was a steep incline that no one really expected from Anthony Bennett after they found out that he wasn't physically fit. And he fits under the subcategory lack of adaptation because he wasn't able to translate his skills from college into the NBA. Kwame Brown, he fits under pressure. He was the first overall pick in the 2001 draft, and he faced enormous pressure from media, fans, and teammates. Teammates, I emphasize, Michael Jordan, mainly Michael Jordan, as he was still in the league at this time. He was 2 years off from retiring, I believe. And Kwame Brown faced constant scrutiny, which contributed to his inconsistent performances and early burnout. His career demonstrates that even talented athletes can falter if mental toughness and confidence are not cultivated. So as we can see, he was drafted in 2001 and he entered the NBA straight from high school while that was still legal. And he should have gone to college because it would high school will not prepare you for the immense media scrutiny and fan expectations that a certain sports player will have. And I'm not blaming him, and I'm not gonna blame the fact that he on the sole fact that he just didn't go to college. It's also just that he was overall inconsistent in the league, and he never found a stable role on any team at all. And he bounced around the league just like Anthony Bennett, never found a home, and retired in the 2010s. Now we move on to Jamarcus Russell. Like I said before, there is a new subcategory which I which added on to Jamarcus Russell, which I like to title "Too Much Easy Money." He was the first overall pick in the 2007 NFL Draft. He was drafted by the Oakland Raiders, and he signed a record $61 million rookie deal. $61 million, with 32 million of it guaranteed. More than 50% of his rookie contract was guaranteed. And due to a contract holdout, he always arrived late to camp, and he never watched film with his team, never studied the playbook, and he wanted to play the game the way he wanted to play it, and didn't. You never really cared for the team, just mainly personal success, which he never had. Even though his college mixtape showed that he had elite arm talent, his performance collapsed due to the fact he got 32 million guaranteed, arrived late to camp, didn't watch film, and was just focused on personal success. And so his career shows that high salary and early hype don't guarantee effort, and his inability to meet expectations led to a short-lived career, and his story highlights how preparation and discipline are just as important as talent. Preparation and discipline obviously referring to going to training camp, building up a strong work ethic, and just learning the playbook and building a leadership role. And due to this, he was cut only after 3 seasons in the NFL, and his career was over at 25. And he was on a different team each season, and that's it for him. Now we move on to Trent Richardson, who I gave the tag "too big to fail." Well, I'll talk about that. I'll talk about that in a minute. He was drafted third overall by the Cleveland Browns. He was dominant in his days in Alabama, and he was unable to live up to the weight of the expectations that the NFL had given him. He struggled to adapt to NFL defenses and averaged just 3.3 yards per carry in three NFL season, which ranks extremely low among today's running backs. And he was traded to the Colts for a first round pick, which was a very bad move for both teams. And again, due to inconsistent performances, he was out of the league by 25. And the Browns thought he was a pick that they couldn't miss because he had a bunch of college accolades and led Alabama to a few SEC championships. And just because of this, they thought he was too big to fail. He couldn't fail. He was a pick that really couldn't miss. But he missed just mainly because of inconsistencies, and he never really lived up to the hype. Alexis Sanchez. Alexis Sanchez fits under the subcategory too much easy money, which I also gave the label to Jamarcus Russell. Alexis Sanchez arrived at Man U with high wages and huge expectations. A poor tactical fit, fatigue, and system mismatch limited his performances. Sanchez's story illustrates that the team environment and adaptation are just as important as individual skill in determining success. So as we look at his stats, we all know he peaked in Barcelona and Arsenal, earning the nickname Wonder Kid, and he signed with Man U in 2018 on a record-breaking £500,000 a week wage. He was making £1 million in 2 weeks, which is which is absolutely stunning in today's day and age. And he failed to adapt because of injuries, lack of fitness, and inconsistent form, which shows in his performance, just scoring 5 goals in 45 games. And if you do the math, that's 1 goal in every 9 games, which is a very nasty 1-to-9 ratio, which he didn't want to see for himself. And this move became a symbol of Man U's mismanagement and overspending on players. And he later moved to Inter Milan, but he never recaptured his peak. And this is an example of unrealistic expectations and money can magnify failure. Now you move on to Philippe Coutinho. Coutinho's expensive move to Barcelona failed because he couldn't adjust to the tactical demands of his team. Despite his talent and potential, adaptation and proper team integration proved essential. His story reinforces that even elite athletes can struggle without the right environment. So we all know he was a star at Liverpool. He was known for his creative and long-range goals, giving him the nickname Little Magician. He transferred to Barcelona in 2018 for a third most expensive 160 million euro deal. He struggled to fit into Barcelona's system after Neymar's departure, and he was very inconsistent. He was loaned to Bayern Munich. He saw brief success, but he never had permanent success. His career was derailed by injuries and pressure of living up to the massive transfer fee, that is 160 million euros. And this is a classic example of how huge money and expectations can crush a player's trajectory. And now we will transition from busts to wildcards. And wildcards are athletes who are underestimated but became stars. By comparing these underdogs with the busts, we can see how resilience, opportunity, and team fit contribute to career success. And I've included a few subcategories for the wildcard section of my research. Humiliation turned into motivation, perfect fit with the team system, and unexpected opportunities, which we will dive into in a minute. So the players that I picked for this section are Jimmy Butler, Nikola Jokic, Tom Brady, Antonio Brown, Jamie Vardy, and Luka Modric. So Jimmy Butler was the 30th pick in the NBA draft, also known as the back of the first round in 2011. He fits this he fits this subtopic because early career challenges pushed him to improve, and his underdog status fueled his drive to prove doubters wrong. And he turned criticism and low expectations into motivation for success. Examples of this were he became a starter and an all-defensive team selection within his third year in the league, and in the pandemic, he led the Miami Heat to the NBA Finals, elevate and he out with, and because of his leadership, he elevated team performance for everybody on that team. So Jimmy Butler was underestimated by scouts and coaches. He transformed early humiliation into motivation, developing a reputation for a relentless work ethic and leadership. And his story shows that resilience and mindset can turn early career setbacks into long-term success. Now we move on to Nikola Jokic, who infamously, when he was being drafted, there was a Taco Bell commercial playing on the television, which shows that no one really cared for Nikola Jokic, and this was humiliation. And this was humiliation to him. He was overlooked because of his size and his measurables, but in the end, his perfect fit with Denver system allowed him to maximize his basketball IQ and become an MVP, a three-time MVP and an NBA champion. And Jokic's career demonstrates the power of opportunity and alignment with team needs. Examples of him fitting with the team system was that he averaged 26 to 11 and 8 in the 2020-2021 season, and he was the first center in decades to win MVP, primarily as a playmaker. So if you look at past NBA centers MVPs like Shaq, Moses Malone, Hakeem, they all won because of their defense. Jokic not necessarily. He won because he distributed the ball to his teammates, leading them to more wins in those specific seasons. And at some point, Denver was contemplating starting Yusuf Nurkic over Nikola Jokic. They went with Jokic, which proved to be the better long-term decision for the franchise. And as we all know, Nikola Jokic is the best player in the NBA right now. Tom Brady, who turned humiliation into motivation. He was the last pick in the NFL draft in the year 2000, and he was mocked by scouts and media because of his size and lack of arm strength. He started as a backup quarterback with minimal expectations, facing ridicule, and because of all of the hatred and criticism he had been receiving, he had developed an unparalleled work ethic, discipline, and leadership, which eventually led to the first example. In the 2001 season, he led the Patriots to the Super Bowl victory against the Rams, 20-17. And for his career, he's won seven Super Bowls. Let me emphasize that. 7 Super Bowls. All six were with one team, and he won 3 MVPs. And this shows that he wanted to improve a lot, and he did improve mainly because of criticism, and then he was a backup quarterback. And besides, people didn't have expectations for backup quarterbacks just to be the backup. Nothing more, nothing less. Tom Brady exceeded expectations. And now we move on to Antonio Brown, who's a perfect fit with the team system. Antonio Brown, a 6th-round pick, overcame doubts about a small school background. Small school means that the college that he went to wasn't advertised as much as the other big schools such as Alabama, LSU, and all of those other schools. So he went in the 6th round mainly because of that, but that doesn't replace talent. He had great talent. His natural talent combined with his work ethic allowed him to seize opportunities and excel at the professional level. His journey shows that unexpected opportunities can be transformative when met with preparation. So he was drafted in the 6th round in 2010, and no one and just like anybody from the 6th round in the NFL draft, you don't really expect anything at all. But examples of why he fits this subcategory, perfect fit with team system, is mainly because in the early 2010s, he was the lifeline for the Steelers offense in 2014, recording stats of 129 receptions, 1,698 yards, and 13 touchdowns. And he fits this subtopic also because teammates and coaches, the coach being Mike Tomlin, maximize his abilities, leading to record-breaking production from him. And he found an offensive system in Pittsburgh that leverages route running, agility, and speed. And he became a primary target, like I said before, and dynamic playmaker in the Steelers' passing game. And again, like I emphasized before, he was a key role in the Steelers' offense, and he earned multiple Pro Bowl selections. Jamie Vardy, who turned humiliation into motivation. Jamie Vardy rose from a non-league soccer player to Premier League stardom. He turned early career humiliation into motivation using persistence, dedication, and hard work to reach the top. Vardy's career shows how determination can overcome initial setbacks and limited exposure. So he went undrafted through academy, and he ended up going to Leicester City. He rose from a non-league football, also known as the Stocksbridge Park Steelers. He rose up to the professional ranks, and he overcame skepticism about his size, age, experience, developed a reputation for relentless work ethic, pace, and finishing. And why he fits this subtopic is because he's used to being overlooked as motivation He used being overlooked as motivation to improve rapidly. Examples of this were in the 2015-2016 Premier League season. He was a key player in Leicester's title-winning season, and he has a record-breaking streak of 11 consecutive Premier League games with one goal, which is still a lot in soccer. And now we move on to our last player, Luka Modric. He was drafted by Dinamo Zagreb youth system, later known as Real Madrid, in the year 2008. Modric faced doubts due to his size and early career instability. He was a perfect fit with Real Madrid's tactical system, which allowed him to excel, emphasizing the importance of team environment and system alignment. His success illustrates that opportunity and fit can outweigh initial limitations. So as we can see here, he was a key part of Real Madrid's multiple Champions League wins, and he was overlooked due to his size and physical stature. But he quickly proved them wrong, being a key orchestrator in multiple Champions League victories in 2014, 2016, 2017, and 2018. And his ball distribution and positioning amplified the team's overall performance. Conclusion. Comparing busts and wildcards reveals that talent alone doesn't determine success. Factors like adaptation, pressure management, opportunity, and team fit are all critical. Busts often fail due to inability to adapt, unrealistic expectations, or pressure, while underdogs thrive through resilience, alignment with systems, and seizing opportunities. By studying these cases, we can better understand the complex mix of psychological, situational, and systemic influences that shape professional athletics careers. My name is Jnagal, and thank you for listening to my presentation. These are my works cited, page 1, page 2, and page 3. Thank you for listening to my presentation.